Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Russ is not here today, so hopefully I'll do an adequate job. The first thing is the agenda has an amendment under announcements. So we have to review and approve the 2023 SALS annual report, as it's going to be item C under new business. So you all know that it's coming. Okay, any public comment? Do you want to do an introduction? Oh, okay. Yeah, we can go around. I'm Janet Linder. Colleen Smith.
Bob Jeffords.
Laura Goodman. Carol Burr.
I've decided to remain Elaine Cowan. Margaret Shapiro.
Barbara Taylor.
Sue Beck.
Chris Connell.
And you know me. Hi.
And you are?
I'm Tom Shagnon. I'm a
Candidate for
aspiring trustee.
Very awesome.
Wow, welcome.
Yes.
From which county?
Saratoga.
Oh, okay.
I was a trustee on Burnt Hills for 10 years.
Tom was my trustee when I worked at.
Okay. Nice.
Okay, so the first action item is the approval of board minute meetings for February 20th. Does anyone have any additions or corrections to the meeting minutes? If not, a motion.
No,
to-
I don't have an
We
addition.
have a
I was just,
motion?
yeah.
Elaine,
I'll second.
Christine. Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion passes. We approve the minutes. Treasurer's report.
Okay, we started off the month of February with $1,940,832. Normal types of receipts coming in, with the exception we did get 70,000 New York State grant and aid, and we also received 11,500 in Hamilton County aid, which has already been dispersed to the.
Yeah, and out of the 70, 40 was passed through to Ballston Spa Public Library. The 30 was the grant we received last year to purchase the memory project.
And our disbursements for the month were 88,000. No, that's not right. Disbursements for the month.
No, that was.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. 88, it's so low. I didn't. $88,067.54. Ended the month with $1,994,291. Just yesterday, we had another one of our CDs mature, and I rolled it over for another 90 days, and it only dropped 0.25%, so 4.75%, $500,000. And that's the treasurer's report for the month.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the budget reports and warrants. Is that two separate things?
Well, you're just gonna file the treasurer's report.
Okay, so
But you
just
want
the-
approval of the warrants.
Okay, so I need a motion to approve the warrants. Jordan, second, Margaret. Any other discussion about that? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Okay, we approved the warrants. Director's report.
Hi, everyone. It's been another quiet month. So I thought I would start my report with good news. So I want to talk to you about the positive news regarding state library funding. The governor increased library aid in her executive budget. That's in all of my life, I don't remember this happening. So that means that we're not fighting to get back to where we were. We are seeing just a little bit more. But then the Senate and the Assembly have proposed 2.5 million in addition to the increase proposed by the governor. So what we'd like you to do is to contact your local representative and thank him or her for understanding the role of libraries in your communities and how this benefits all of their constituents' library funding. There's also, both houses propose significant increases in the state aid for library construction program. So SALS gets of the $34 million, about $1 million. It's just short of 961,000 something. And the last time you all had to look at the grants and saying, we just don't have enough money to fund everything. So the demand is there. The Senate is proposing 54 million. And the Assembly is 69 million.
Oh.
So I'll take anything in between because we do have older libraries and they could use some tender loving care. And we have some libraries that are still not ADA compliant, and they're in communities that are not the most wealthy. So if they could do a 90-10 match for some of these libraries, finally these buildings could come into compliance down the line. The budget might be due or done or approved by April 1st.
Whoa.
Maybe. Maybe.
Excuse me, this all sounds too much, too good to be true, so I'm not worried.
Yeah.
She said good news first.
And I think that it's gonna be happy news, whatever it is, but we don't see our funding until August.
July at the earliest.
Anyway, so just to keep that in mind. I was asked to be part of the New York delegation visiting our elected officials in DC. And it was fun. It was actually fun. First, I went to see Representative Jeffries in the Capitol, and they tell you to go through these super secret doors, and because you have an appointment with. So that was kind of fun. I had never entered the Capitol that way, but that was fun. I also saw Senator Schumer's staff, Congresswoman Stefanik's staff, and a Congresswoman from Staten Island, Malatakis. She's on Staten Island. Why I went, I don't know, but it was, they said, please go. And I did. And I talked about the importance of rural libraries. Even Glens Falls, which is our largest city, isn't the same as some of the large metropolitan libraries, and our services are a little unique. So that was kind of interesting. And we also stopped into Paul Tonko's office. And I want to share with you that I asked them to support at least 232 million for Library Services and Technology Act, as well as 50 million for innovative approaches to literacy. So that's literacy in public schools. And in last year, New York State received a little more than $8 million in federal aid. So hopefully New York will see more.
So that LSAT, that was an increase this year, wasn't it?
It's asking, sort of, but
yeah.
It's really a weird year because there is no 2024 budget. And now they're starting to work on the 2025 budget. And I think I read earlier that they just passed another bill to keep the government open.
Continuing resolution.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird. So you're asking.
So they really didn't approve anything.
But the best news was that I was told that Congresswoman Stefanik would sign the appropriations letters once they're circulated. And when she does that, she's endorsing library funding on a federal level. So that's a big deal. So those in her district, please reach out and thank her for being committed to library funding.
They want it.
Oh, she won't believe me. I sent it.
It's okay to have civil discourse, and when somebody does something very wonderful, it's good to acknowledge that as
True.
well.
You might be surprised, yeah.
But anyway, I thanked the staff very much for that. And today we sent in the final 10% paperwork for the SALS Library Construction Program, which is about $3,800, $813. It's 10% of it, and that bought the Meraki routers for the replacement because they were out of. So it was 50 through library construction, broadband, and 50 of SALS money. I'm going to share some more good news because I'm just full of good news today. I want to give the highest level of praise for Colleen and Pamela. They work nonstop and tirelessly to meet the submission dates for both the member libraries and SAL's annual reports. And the Rockwell Falls Public Library had some challenges, and both Colleen and Pamela helped the trustee and the staff member do the annual report. So thank you. Thank you both. Thank you. Thank you. And then again, they wrote and they made everything balance in the SAL's annual report. And we're going to ask you to approve it. We submitted it, but we're going to say that the date to be determined because it was a weird timing of when it was due and when the portals opened. But anyway, now I'm going to the not so good news. Book banning attempts are at record highs. ALA report found that the number of challenge titles increased by 65% in 2023. So 4,240 unique titles. Now there are more challenges, but these were 2 unique titles were targeted in schools and libraries across the country. And Deborah Caldwell-Stone, who's the director of the ALA Office of Intellectual Freedom, wrote, "We are not seeing an individual read a book and raise a concern about a book. We're seeing organized groups go to school boards, go to library boards, demanding the removal of dozens, if not hundreds of books at a time. They are simply downloading lists from advocacy groups and demanding removal of those titles." So it's happening out there. I think some schools in our service area have seen some challenges. And the last couple of things I want to talk about is that the Mohawk Valley Library System, the SALS Library System, the Joint Automation Council have received the written notification that the Schenectady County Public Library is withdrawing from the 2-system shared integrated library system. We sometimes call it Polaris. The letter was circulating for all of you to see. So what are we doing? We are coming up with a transition team to work with representatives from the library, as well as SALS, MVLS, and the Joint Automation staff to make it as smooth a transition as possible. And tomorrow we will be hosting a SALS Member Library Director Council meeting to answer questions. I'd be happy to answer questions, but at this time, we don't really have a lot of answers, except they can, in writing, ask to withdraw and ask for their records.
So have the patrons of the library system been notified? Were they consulted before this happened? I'm one of them. So. I know.
I don't know the answer to that because it's a library that's part of Mohawk Valley.
Right.
So I'm not in direct conversation.
I'm a patron and I wasn't told about that as a patron. No, that's all I know.
So it's 180 days starting, I believe the letter is dated March 8th.
Can they ask to come back? Okay.
We're cooperative, SALS and MVLS are both cooperative library systems. They're not saying, Schenectady isn't saying they're withdrawing from Mohawk Valley. They're withdrawing from the information.
Yeah. I guess my other good concern was the letter they sent out inviting member libraries to still be sharing information with them. You sent that letter to us. So my concern is if member libraries are in any kind of digital contact with the Schenectady system, will our patrons' information wind up in their system?
I don't have an answer to that. I don't even know what system they're going to. But maybe they would do it like an interlibrary loan.
Will there be interlibrary loans between Schenectady?
Mail them. That's what that,
I mean,
letters, that's what she was pretty much asking for. We want out, but we still want to
Yeah,
borrow all of your
right,
content.
So there are some wrinkles that need to be
yes, I think
ironed out.
that's one. There should be some
So-
consequences for withdrawing from our system, don't you think?
They have every right to do it, and we're gonna cooperate, but there are other ramifications for SALS because Schenectady is not part of our charter to serve area. We're chartered to serve Hamilton, Warren, Washington, and Saratoga County.
So they're MVLS. I don't know.
Some of our libraries lent them 24,000 items. And part of it is part of the work of this transition team is to figure out how to get all the materials back to where they live.
So you're saying in last year, 24,000 items.
24,000 plus items from SALS libraries. And they borrowed 300,000 items
Within.
from libraries outside of Schenectady County.
In MVLS.
NDLS.
That should be challenging.
I also want to commend the JA staff for working to come up with a logical way to get everything done in the time.
You know the number of, excuse me, items in the Schenectady system? What's the size of their collection?
Jill, are you on the call? I don't know, but I can get you the number.
I think you told us last month.
I think it was something like 200,000.
Yeah, as opposed to the 2 million that they.
Have in the entire
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think they were a net borrower rather than a lender.
Yes, they are. They are. So I'll look up the number of items in Schenectady. Owned by Schenectady.
I was probably the person who asked the question last month. But I forgot. Forgot even that I asked.
That's okay. I've had so many numbers going in and out of my brain. So that's the end of my report, but we're gonna do some show and tell. The first thing, Jack, where are you? Hi, are you gonna start with our satisfaction survey?
That's what's on the list.
Okay, I just want to show off how much we are appreciated.
That's another piece of good news.
Yes.
1 second here. There's
Every year we send out a survey asking, how are we doing?
and you can find the survey, the results of the survey on our site under the About Us and Statistical and Executive Summary. In the executive summary, we have 2023 up. And so our key findings were that 97% of all the respondents were satisfied with SALS services, and 99% found the SALS services valuable and relevant. And you can see those results for yourself here. It gives more of an overview, and I'll go a little bit more into detail here, but I won't take up too much of your time. So the neat part is we give people an opportunity to comment. And so one of the, maybe we'll not start with all the good stuff, but here's an example of one of the criticisms. First, keep in mind that all libraries make decisions about what books and films are appropriate for members. In doing so, librarians are not book banners. Neither are local citizens commenting on books appropriate for children. Please stop calling these people book banners. They are not. Second, SALS is an over-bureaucratic. SALS documents seem as though the organization is in the US Department of Defense. We're talking about books here. And so that was a comment that was very similar to a comment last year.
It sounds like the same person.
Well, at least we're consistent.
Yes,
But
but the majority of things are, you know, we ask about the delivery service, and you know, that's ranked very highly. One of the things we do notice in this survey results are there is some confusion because this survey goes out to trustees, library staff, and library directors. I think sometimes people don't realize that it's impossible for their library to not use delivery or Polaris. So there's some misunderstanding of what it is we do. And then we ask about the central library service. We ask about the programming and support we offer. Very valuable and very satisfied. Please keep on offering what you can. And then here we have some examples of people aren't sure what exactly the question is. Uh-oh, how did I do that?
I dare you to do it again.
Yeah. So some people are unaware of some things, but construction grants, we ask about challenge grants. We ask about ways to improve these, more of them, straightforward and generous. Again, libraries should be using more of these resources. We ask about Polaris, and here's a different perspective. JA does an amazing job. The JA guys are my heroes. Is there anything we can improve? We love JA. And then these are some really nice things, you know, just people saying thank you. You're all awesome and we love you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do. Keep up the great work. SALS is one of the most important, most helpful organizations I've ever worked with. 5 stars, keep it up. So I just wanted to share some of those thoughts and messages with you. And if you have any questions and you'd like to see these specific examples, I can share this document with everyone.
When I took the survey, I noted that there was stuff specifically about my local library that I didn't know. And I didn't go and ask anybody. I was just answering it. So some of the stuff is not transparent when you're just a patron of a library.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I think the way the questions were asked, it was hard to say, hey, I'm not the library director. I can't tell you that, you know, the nitty gritty of it. That's fair. Yeah. That's fair.
I'm sorry.
Go on.
You know you were gonna say.
No.
Oh, is there gonna be a response or an effort to respond to areas where people were unaware or confused about?
Yeah,
Good.
we do that. And we also use this to help us evaluate the services we currently do, see if we need to tweak them in any way. If something is never used, we won't continue to offer it. And we also use this as a funding document. We use this when we plan our next year's budget.
Good.
It did seem like there was a surprising percentage of responses that said they didn't use JA.
Yes, there's people that say they don't use JA, they don't use delivery, they don't use e-content. So there is One of the things we're working on is, I'm not sure if this is official, but I know I'm working on, I worked on a piece earlier this year because people weren't really sure what the central library does. And so I created a video for Niche on our Niche Academy site, and that's been one of the most popular videos. So we're putting together one about what it is, all the wonderful things that SALS does for you.
Good idea.
Or the things that we do just happen to turn out wonderful. But we appreciate it because that's why we're funded, is to provide services out. And we thought that maybe some of you have seen this a million times.
We won't give you the whole show, but we'll just go through it quickly.
Just to show you some of the services we provide that we ask people about.
So on Advocacy Day, we met with 9 different representatives, and there was 106 different people that came to those virtual sessions. And here's our example of our slideshow.
We found, while he's doing that, we found that we have more undivided attention when we do it virtually with a slideshow. And the beauty of this is Jack and Erica knowing how to design slides.
We actually had a comment from one of the representatives that said this was the best presentation they'd seen of any other systems. So that was kind of cool.
That's why we got the extra funding.
So we talked about our ask, and we talked about where that money goes. And so here's our pie chart of where the money that comes to us goes out to the member libraries. We also spoke about the importance of construction aid and how places like Stillwater, their new library, wouldn't exist without it. We did partner with school library systems this year. So we partnered with Wish We BOCES, and so they had a slide. One of their big pieces was the Novel New York database that might be going away, but probably isn't. And they also talked about bumping up the library materials aid from 625 to 11. We spoke about our circulation and the library visits. And one of the things we wanted to focus on was that, when a lot of businesses are struggling to get back to pre-pandemic numbers, we're there on many levels, and on other levels, we're actually doing more than we were doing previously.
Oh,
yeah.
And how many people go into the Albany International Airport, Jack?
Oh, geez. So we've got 2.2 million people that visited. Oh, wait. We've got
only
a million library visits, which just happens to be roughly exactly the same as the number of people who use the Albany International.
Oh, that's cool.
Right?
We spoke about Overdrive e-content, the cost of it, and also the idea that this was like a typical Tuesday morning at like 10 a.m. in January, where we've already had like 138 checkouts. But also you can't really, I'm not sure if you can see it, but Lessons in Chemistry has 154 holds, right? So that's like, you're not getting that book for a year.
Does something like that give you a flag it so you should buy another copy of it if it's that popular? I mean, is there a
yeah, we get a spreadsheet of like, there's a certain ratio that we try and keep it at, but also it is what it is. Like, there's only a limited amount of funding for a lot of materials. So as the hold ratio goes up, Jill makes purchases to bring that hold ratio down, so that hopefully when you put a hold on that book, it shows up that book's becoming more and more popular. And then in turn, we're purchasing more copies.
And how much is that copy cost, the ebook?
Let's see, that one's an ebook, so it's probably like $30 maybe, 25, 30. If it's the audio version, it could be more than double that.
65 rings a bell in my brain.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm kind of ballparking it because I can't really remember. I haven't bought books from Overdrive in this year yet. So.
And we don't keep them forever. After so many circulations, they vanish.
And we sort of spoke about how like this trend for e-content has just been going up, and the same for the school districts. You can see their percentage has gone up, but ours has gone up astronomical. And then if you saw in the report, Sarah's report, our January numbers are like 28 or 29,000, or it might even be 30,000. So it's already, yeah, I think it is 30,000. So it already eclipsed our highest checkouts from last year. Yeah, and we mentioned that it was like a 48% increase from 2018. And then we spoke about all the wonderful programs that we help provide to our member libraries, like Farm to Library. We talked about the overdose epidemic and how we're putting locks boxes in our libraries, and also we provide fentanyl and xylazine testing strips.
Are those going in all the libraries?
I think there's Schenectady County now, Erica.
Not sure if Erica's computer was
Can you
frozen.
hear me?
But...
I'm having some computer issues. So
yes,
we
can hear you.
partnered with the Saratoga County Department of Health so that they're all of our libraries and library buildings, because it's the Round Lake and the Malta Branch, have nalox boxes in them, as well as 5 libraries in Warren and Washington counties. As far as the fentanyl and xylazine testing strips, any library can have them. We're not automatically sending them out to them, but if they request them, and I've certainly let all our libraries know that they're available, but if any library wants them, they can just shoot either me or Pamela an email, and we will get them out to them right away. And we're really encouraging people because it's, you know, we're thinking about community health and harm reduction, right? We'd like to see our friends and neighbors continue to live.
And then we had a brief slide of summer reading because it's always fun to share these pictures, but also I think this is a good example of showing, like, if you look at our numbers are higher than they were in 2017, and we're doing new things like adult summer reading programs. And Erica, I don't know if you want to mention anything about Libraries Mean Business.
Sure. So we're continuing to build our Overdrive collection, and we think it's important to have to build that so that there are resources for small businesses and entrepreneurs in our region that are available 24/7. And it's everything from testing booklets to help people pass civil service exams to you know, books on like lean UX, like all sorts of different hot topics in the business world, as well as some mental health stuff, because we recognize that that's going on. The other thing is that we provide funding for member libraries to send at least one person from each library to be trained as a notary public to offer notary public services in our libraries. And so in 2023, 11 libraries that have 20 notaries public in those libraries notarized, 1,231 documents. So we know it's a service that's being used. And this spring, we're having a bunch more people do it, which is exciting.
And then we spoke about the Memory Project and the different libraries that are involved in that. Also, that was a partnership with schools. So we talked about the students visiting the libraries and how successful it'd been. And also, when we spoke with Carrie Warner, we thanked her for this specific project. We also spoke about I forgot all this stuff. Our OATS, what's going on with our older adults technology program, which is a partnership with AARP, and how we're providing digital equity and social and bridging the digital divide, and hopefully bridging the social isolation divide by bringing older people into the library to learn about technologies. So you have people doing iPad classes on AI, classes on internet secure, like staying safe online, and you know how to purchase a computer. So there's it's been a lot of fun, and we have 9 participating libraries in that. And then we turned it back over to Sarah for our final ask.
And I asked for money, and they heard. Both houses heard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
nice.
So that's services we provide, and you saw the evaluation of what people think about the services we provide. And we couldn't do anything without the fabulous SALS staff and the JA staff. So thank you. Make sure that goes into the minutes, Pamela, that these services could not happen without the staff who thinks them up and sees the projects through. Thank you, Jack. Any questions?
Is that online as well? That, PowerPoint?
I actually tried to do it right before the meeting and the file is too large to put on our website. So it will be, but I just have to shrink it down.
Okay. Because it's something to show at a board meeting, just to let people know, you know, all those trustees that didn't fill out the survey because they didn't know that. So I think it's a good thing to show.
Do this at the annual meeting?
I don't know if I could sit through it again.
That's a couple months away, sure you can.
You'll have a drink, so it'll be better.
We do actually plan to do something at the annual meeting that highlights the services from SALS this year. So maybe it'll be a combination of the advocacy thing and something like what Jack put together about the central library.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was great. All right, we move on to committee reports. The first one is mine, audit and finance, no report. Building.
Yeah, so, last fall, we tabled, a project to repave the parking lot here, which, as you understand, there's a big crater out there. And we were not, not being road people, the committee wasn't, comfortable because the estimates were from like 11,000 to 60,000 or something.
Yeah.
But there were a few in the middle that are probably where we're going, and part of the discussion was grade of asphalt. So I have a little aside. I sometimes go shopping at the Honest Weight Food Co-op in Albany, and they have a parking lot that it's crazy. Your shopping cart is like this because they must have a really crappy grade of asphalt that got put on the.
Now that you know all
surface.
about that, right?
So, I actually asked, went inside and asked, I said, does somebody around here like have any records from when your parking lot was paved and what grade of asphalt it was? And so I don't know, but, we will certainly have a recommendation by the next.
And I believe the next board meeting, you're gonna review the construction grants.
Oh, are we? Oh, boy.
Right, Pamela? So, as soon as they come in, Pamela will work her magic and members of your committee will get copies of it and they'll bring recommendations. So if you're on the building committee, you're gonna meet an hour earlier.
Okay, bylaws. Jordan.
Oh, there's nothing at this time.
Okay, central library aid and services, Margaret.
Nothing to report.
Kathy's gonna call a committee meeting.
Good.
County aid coordinators.
I have nothing.
Library services.
Nothing today.
Personnel, I have nothing. Trustee nominating.
Well,
Jordan.
you've all met Tom Chatano, who's interested in and hopefully will be our another representative from the Saratoga County, and it would be a very good addition. I served on the community library in Boston for 10 years and was honored as SALS Trustee of the Year twice. So we certainly look forward to you joining. And I thought I had somebody from Hamilton County, but we don't. I'm at this point not sure. I'll keep looking, but I know I don't know where to go at this point in terms of finding somebody.
I'll bring it up at the next book discussion group?
Oh,
Because if they don't want to do it, if somebody there doesn't want to do it, they may know something.
somebody who
Yeah.
does. Oh, thank you. Think that.
Okay, so under unfinished business was review and approve the annual report, but now we have moved that under new business, correct? So new business, the first item is A, approve Sarah Dallas to attend Library Journals Directors Summit, November 7th and 8th in Columbia, South Carolina. You want to tell us anything about it, or?
I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it was free registration, so I thought if you give me permission to go, I may or may not go. I haven't even looked into it, but I will send you a description.
Okay, so, does somebody want to make a motion to approve Sarah attending it? Margaret, second. Sue, any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Okay,
I'll send
you
you
can make up
something.
your mind.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the joint automation update?
I gave a little bit about it, during my director's report. What I'd like permission from you in principle, when we finally, come up with the final document to send, that you give me approval to send the document so we could start the transition team.
Sure.
I'll send you a copy of it, but if you approve in principle, a motion to approve in principle, me sending it out, that would be very helpful.
So with Schenectady withdrawing, and somebody must have looked at the numbers, like what percentage increase does that? Because you're gonna have to spread those costs over the other libraries.
What we're thinking now is, because we've already approved what the 2024 fees are and approved the 2025 fees, the cost that may happen in 2025 will not get passed on to the libraries. They will be paying what is in the approved 2025
until 2026, when you got a deficit.
Well, it's something that the transition team will have to look at.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve in principle setting.
Okay.
That's what we were.
Second, someone want a second, Jordan? All in favor? Opposed?
As soon as it's been cleaned up, I will send you something to your email.
All right, so we move on to the SALS annual report to review it and approve it. So, is anyone speaking to that?
Do you want to talk about it?
It's very, very long.
Yes, it is.
And the programming sections. I do the financial sections and Pamela does the other parts. You can see we reported based on financial statements and our services and our activities. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions about it. A lot of times when we approve it, it's not unusual to have DLD come back and ask questions, maybe put a note here with this figure varied from last year's figure. They wanted a little note or an explanation. It's usually nothing substantial, but we hope that it goes through and gets final approval to as much feedback as needed, but we feel good about it.
Is this report, which is sort of a survey, is that done by all libraries across the country?
Yeah, a lot of these questions are pulled off of what the federal government
That's what I
is
thought.
collecting.
And do the local libraries fill out the same form, or is
Similar.
it, it's similar? Okay.
We're a cooperative library system and they're public library systems, so there are some differences. But it's what it's most helpful for, besides being an exercise in patience, it helps see historically where we were and where we're going. So when you compare it year after year, rather than looking at it by itself. The print be any smaller? It has your terms in it.
Right.
This is really small. So it's got your terms in it, terms of office and information. It talks about what work we've done over the year. And then it goes into, our, how many people visited SALS? Mostly it's you coming to board meetings. We don't have a lot of the public coming in. And it's helpful. A lot of the numbers come from our Polaris system, so we get the circulation numbers. And I'll throw my dear colleague under the bus. I wish they may have some rhyme and reason of what they ask for in different budget lines. What was the last one? Cleaning supplies versus maintenance?
We have a supply line, but they want to know the difference between supplies and custodial supplies. And other places we report, like the comptroller AFR report, may not split things that way. So you try to have your account codes match, but each person asks for it slightly differently. And so we report on our financials in general, but then one of the last sections, section 13, you report specifically on your state aid. And you have to tell where every dollar went, of construction money, of the basic aid, of the correctional aid. They want to know exactly what it went for: personnel, supplies, services. So, it's a way to show where you're using all your dollars and what's not state aid, where does that come from? So it gets pretty granular.
I avoided her office that entire weekend.
Hard but fun.
Is the data actually used by anybody? Like, did that come into the rationale for the money that's coming from the state?
I'm sure
Yeah.
it just it can be used that way.
Yeah.
And the public can come in and compare libraries as well.
Okay.
So if they want to know how they're doing with their circulation and the cost of running their building and their custodial versus.
Well, and if an issue comes up in the future, you have documentation because you did so much work to make those reports, so.
So we would like you to approve.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, Sue, second. Carol. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nobody's opposed. Nobody's abstaining. So there you go.
Thank you. Yay.
Okay, Directors Council report.
They're meeting tomorrow.
Okay, so there's no report yet. And does anyone have any other announcements or?
I was just wondering, there's a lot of new people on the Board of Trustees. And I remember a while back doing a tour of this building. And I wonder if it's a good time to show people what's in this building at some point in the future.
Oh, I got a dust.
No, we have, Bill takes care of the dusting. He does a wonderful job, so.
No, Sarah's given us all, we've all had it.
I've
I've had a very specific tour. My husband even came.
Oh, okay. Because I
It's a
I
really
remember
cool
walking
facility.
around with the group at one time, and I don't know if everybody realizes what's in the building.
And Christine can lead a tour outside the building too.
The parking lot.
Let's be careful.
Yeah, don't trip.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I guess we're adjourned.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.